I'm Owen, and I just wanted to talk about game jams for a little bit. I think they're something that I'm super passionate about, and I wanted to tell you why. So first up, what is a game jam? Most of you, I assume, know, but I just want to explain it anyway. So basically, it's a bunch of game developers in a room making something, anything. Could be a software thing, a hardware thing, a board game, card game, just making a thing. I think that's really, really cool. It's really cool to have a space where people make something and make something well or not well. Thanks. Yeah. And it's something that I think takes a lot of creativity, a lot of chaos, and just a lot of fun. It's something that it's a really unique experience. And if anyone hasn't done one, hopefully this will help convince you to do one eventually. I think the first thing I think that why I like them so much is they're a great tool for learning. And there's three main kinds of learning I think you can get from a game jam. Holistic, structured, and sort of directional. Holistic learning is the kind of thing where you're working with someone in new ways, doing things a bit differently because of the time pressure and the various different ways. You end up learning a lot of weird stuff through doing that. Structured is sort of you're going in to learn something and you decided ahead of time you're going to learn that thing. I think you can kind of pick a tool or a new technique and that leads to really cool stuff. And directional is the whole jam's about learning. You kind of, all of you in the room are making something to learn, and that's another really cool way of doing it. So I think the biggest part of that is there's lots of things you need to think about. Failure is good in these cases. If you're learning, you're going to learn a lot more if you fail than if you succeed. And you need to kind of define the bounds of how you're going to learn and not expect to kind of get good at it overnight. And a great way to kind of enforce that learning is to go to play parties after the jam, play everyone else's game, and have people play your game, give feedback. It really results in some really cool ways to learn about how you did and things you could do better or differently. The second thing, speaking of kind of play parties, you kind of spend a lot of time with your peers, and I think with so many cool people at game jams, it gives you a great opportunity to strengthen friendships, build new friendships, and do really cool stuff with each other, like really interesting things. We're all really cool people, I think, in general. And so I want to tell a really interesting story where I hadn't seen a friend of mine for about 5 years or so. And we ended up kind of running into each other at Global Game Jam 2018, I think. I turned up without a team, showed up to the area where nobody had any teams, and realized, oh, hey, we know each other, that's crazy, let's make a game together. And that was such a strange moment. So we ended up making a silly little game together as the jam very exhausted. And actually, we kind of like, during the jam, kind of really hit it off, kind of like, sort of like, oh, well, we should really keep in touch now. And actually, we both live in Dundee, let's stay friends. And now we're still friends to this day. She's actually watching online, I think, right now. And just led to me meeting a bunch of other great people. And through this sort of game jam experience, had loads of really crazy, lovely experiences myself. And the game we made was it was fine. It was about a penguin named Clarence catching a train. Not that interesting, but it was good fun. But it's kind of inconsequential, really. The experience I had there allowed me to make just such great friends, and all kicked off just from turning up to a game jam without a team. So the next thing, and the final thing, I think, why I love game jams, is I truly believe they are one of the purest ways to make a game. And I'm not saying that the normal way to make a game is bad or anything. I think that's great, and it makes much better games. But in terms of art, and in terms of just like making something for making something's sake, game jams are the best at that. You're showing up in a room without the bounds of capitalism or marketing or budgets or roadmaps or anything like that. You're sitting down in a room with people, being creative and making something. I think that's absolutely beautiful. And it fills me with a lot of emotion when I talk about this, because it's something that I think is really, really interesting. The way we kind of think about art and the way we think about the impact we have as game developers. As other people mentioned, I'm sure we'll continue to mention, games are so important to a lot of people and can do a lot of really cool things. And as game developers, one of the really cool ways of doing that is making art for art's sake. And so while most of the games I've made, it's allowed me to make like silly little games and various projects. None of them have gone anywhere. As kind of Graham mentioned earlier, you can go somewhere places. But for me, it's just a really nice way to make something cool and just put it down. I've made that thing, it's done. So thank you for listening. If you are interested in a game jam, you're in luck, because there's one tomorrow. A Global Game Jam's on. And if you're not already signed up, there's two main sites in Dundee. Ali Lowe, Speaking Lateless, running one. Go look that up. And if you're a student, Arcadia running one as well. You search either of those two things on the Global Game Jam website, you'll find a jam site to go to. Please do a game jam, thank you.